All right, so I've released a couple of these videos already, but now I have one of the big dogs in the South African Counter-Strike scene who's going to be putting his opinion out there. We all know how much weight Mr. Elusive's opinion does carry. Been around the scene, done it all, got all the t-shirts. In fact, he's got the whole wardrobe. Ruan, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here, man, and have this conversation with me. It's going to be great to get your opinion, and we're going to be building the best South African team of all time, a team that could potentially work. And as I say, no Sonic or JT because they would just be a staple in everyone's team. So you would only have 3 variables at that point. So we've decided to leave them out. So Ruan, you've played with so many different players, haven't you? You've had a very wide variety in your career.
Yeah, I think the 5 players that I actually have here are all players that I've played for or played with at least. The problem comes in when you make a list like this is you've got ideas of other players that obviously show potential and fit the brief, but you've never really played with them, so
Yeah.
it's difficult to accurately say, okay, this is the guy that you would want the team or in the team to fulfill that role. So yeah, unfortunately these guys are all guys that I've played with in the past, which is forming part of the team
Yeah.
that I think will be the best.
I mean, it makes sense though, and that's why I actually do these videos, like the same topic with multiple different people. It's not because I want to find like the objective best team where we just try to pick names that we think. I want people's opinions on the guys that they really think, like from their experience of having played with them or whatever. Maybe you get some names people just don't expect because that guy hasn't played with many people or something. So I'm fully on board to hear like your personal opinion from your experiences. So let's get straight into it. Let's jump in. Let's start with the IGL first and foremost. Who's going to be at the helm of your team here, Ruan?
So, okay, I'm going to start off by saying that as I progress through this list, people will have red flags going off because this team's most likely not going to work in reality. From like a, personality perspective, there might be some clashes, but, that's even something we did back in the BVD days when that lineup got formed. It was, it's all business, put the personalities aside, put the egos aside. Let's just see what we can do. So yeah, from an IGL perspective, this was actually the most difficult one because I haven't played with many IGLs. I mean, coming from the energy days, it was Zero Chance James. Some outside help from Tian, and then moving into BVD, that was Dimi, and then it was me for a long time. It was Johnny. Obviously not allowed to use Johnny, and then from when I played a bit further casually, with Goliath and stuff, that was me afterwards, and now Adam is IGL'd a bit as well. So from the IGL perspective, I said either Tian, TC, which doesn't really play CS anymore, but no one can question.
Well, it's past or present, and in 2014, you did compete overseas, and he was a big part of that energy roster. So yeah, absolutely had his days as a player.
So it's either Tian or I said myself as an IGL.
All right, Ruan, I appreciate it, but man, you got to choose one. We can't say that you can't have 6 players here and 2 IGLs, so you're gonna have to split this one, mate.
I'll go with myself then.
There we go. That's what I wanted to see. I want that confidence, that fire, and like you said, like you have been in IGL for such a big part of your career as well, so it totally makes sense. Okay. So
yeah, there'll be a lot of conflict management in the squad coming up, which is why I think I'll also be be needed there.
One of your strengths.
My strengths.
Yeah.
I think I have a good ability to control the squad, to keep everyone calm.
Yeah.
Give clear direction. Like from a leadership perspective, you can have a really good read on the game, but if you can't control your players and they don't necessarily have that level of respect for you, then you're not going to effectively be able to run the team. So it's almost to a certain extent better to have more control over your players and make a bad call than it is to make a good call and no one's listening.
100%, because that's almost the first and foremost layer before you can even think about in-game tactics. Is everybody in the same space? Are they on the same page? Are we all as a unit? Is the synergy there? Only then can 100%. You focus on the game itself. So that totally makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure you've had a fair share of dealing with that in your career as well. So yeah, got some experience there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, can I move on to the next one?
Yeah, shift forward. Where are we going next?
All right, I'm going to go with the AWP.
Okay.
The AWP role, this no-brainer, is going to be Destiny for me, Dimi. Yeah. I think we've all seen Dimi. I don't think many people have seen Dimi through his career from like the 1.6 days. But I mean, I've been competing with him and playing against him pretty much since I was like 15 or 16 years old. So yeah, I've seen that guy do crazy shit throughout his entire career. And there was a time in CSGO where no one could touch his AWP at all, where he was purely focusing on that. So yeah, he's fulfilled so many roles. If he focuses purely on the AWPing role, there's no one better than him in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's just been such a long period of longevity at such a high skill level as well. And as you say, there's been these golden patches where like you just can't AWP against him. Like he's going to win every single AWP duel that he takes because he's also like knows every fight that's in his favor. So he's already got like that advantage behind him as well. Knows his own game so well, which I think is a big part of Dimmy as well. Like he knows how to completely play within himself and his strengths, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, he realizes as well what effect the team has on his ability to go and find openings and create opportunities with the AWP. Like, the longer he stays in a team, the more he'll, mold that team in a way where they'll create opportunities for him to go and do the things that he wants to do. And that's where you have the most impact. If you're just going to be a stock standard AWPer, then sure, you're going to have impact, but not nearly as much.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And also, I mean, he knows the game really well. He reads the game super well, so he's another person you can rely on for ideas if you ever need to chat to someone and bounce something off them, or he'll read the mid round super well to help you make calls and stuff. So, I guess another big advantage from him there as well.
Yeah, that's actually a point with all the guys in the team that I'll
Okay.
mention is all of them um, are very strong second voices. They
Yeah.
all have really good game sense, and um, yeah, they're all players that can at any moment step up and be a star player and take initiative in the moment. So
Okay. So who's
that's
next
also
here? Who's next in your line?
next up, I pretty much have three riflers that I put in here. I'm not really going to the extent of saying which ones are
Is
support and anchors and entries, but
sure.
there'll be a clear lurk, and then there'll just be the other two riflers. So the lurk would be Black Poison, Robbie.
Yeah.
I think who was it? Adam that spoke about him in his video as well. I haven't seen one of the other ones yet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously we all know what Robbie can do from a mechanical perspective. Hey, he proved it now in the Red Bull Flick. The guy doesn't even jam CS anymore, and he's still got some of the best mechanics in the country. So yeah, I know from that perspective, and then also he obviously fulfilled that role at a stage when he was playing with us and in other teams as well. We were sort of a lurk. So yeah, his ability to read the game and find openings and get pickoffs and create space is something that few players can do that well.
Yeah, it's especially because he just has such a great grip on the game. So if you do leave him in that lurk role, which you really want your lurker to have amazing game sense, because he has to be able to read when to make what certain play in that instance, right? Like based on the information he's getting, does he react and get aggressive and go for the fight? Does he fall back? Does he throw some util? Does he fake? Does he flank? Like you need to know how to make those split decisions on your own. You don't have like a core working with you that you're bouncing these ideas off. You're completely self-reliant. And I think Robbie really does thrive in those environments as well. And he's got the mechanics to back that up. So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Has to be the best and absolutely in that position.
Mm. And another point with all four of these guys is they can all AWP as well. So it's a
Throw it to
secondary,
any of
third.
them, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, you can purely play off of spawn, which is nice. All
Okay.
right, so the third player would be Adam, ADM.
Okay, the fourth player.
The fourth player, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, all
Obviously
good.
excluding myself there. So the fourth
Okay.
player would be ADM, as a rifle. So I mean, I've only started playing with Adam after I came back from the States and
Yeah.
joined up with the GG guys. Uh, yeah, one of the hardest working guys that I've seen, outside of like, someone like JT that just doesn't stop playing CS. So yeah, no, Adam's really hard worker. I mean, I wasn't in the country when he made all of those crazy frag clutch clips and stuff
Yeah.
where he was just 1v4ing people on bomb sites with like 3 HP. So yeah, no, obviously just a lot of mechanical potential as well, ability to read the game, takes the initiative, pretty much ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, a complete player.
Yeah, 100%. And he's got experience calling. Robbie's got experience calling. Detrine's got experience calling. So that's also something that Adam said is, if you have guys that have fulfilled so many different roles in so many different teams, it just contributes to you being such a well-rounded player
Yeah.
that understands all the aspects of the game.
Absolutely. You've all walked a mile in each other's shoes, so everybody can kind of have a good understanding of the scenario that their teammate might be in, and then offer like productive help or advice on whatever the situation might be. And again, like you say, a strong AWPer there. Great game sense, all the main things you mentioned as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Adam has come a long way in a player as well who started off with insane, mechanical potential, and we have a lot of those players who come up in South Africa who have a lot of mechanical potential, and it kind of just like stops there. But like he was able to take it to the next level and add all these other dimensions to his game as well. So yeah, definitely think he has a rightful spot on the list here.
100%.
Okay.
And then the last player I put up here was Cannibalistic.
Okay.
Yeah, Trevor. So also as a rifle, I mean, Trevor can lurk, he can entry, he can, I don't know. Honestly, I haven't been able to dumb Trevor down to a certain role because if you play against him and he picks up an AWP and he's doing 360 jumping AWP shots over walls, spamming you, does weird stuff that turns games around. I mean, we've lost so many times to him doing weird stuff like that. And I mean,
Yeah.
once again, he's fulfilled all the roles. He can pick up the AWP. He can, he's got the BMT. That's another thing with all these guys is they're all very experienced. They've all played. Okay, maybe some of them a bit more than Adam. I'm not sure how many finals and stuff Adam's been in, but I mean, he's had his fair share as well. Just
Yeah.
talking about guys that have been playing for a top team for like 5-6 years, in terms of like Robbie and
Sure, like
and Demi.
yeah, it's a different comparison, but Adam did win 2019 Comic Con on LAN, so like he has at least also got that big LAN event under his belt, which I think is always important when you want to talk about best players, because yes, it comes down to the team in that instance, but like best players win events, they win trophies, they win tournaments, they win titles, right? So yeah, I think it's important to have that there as well.
So yeah, overall, I mean, there's 5 players with a lot of BMT, a lot of
Yeah,
experience under their belt. They can perform pretty much majority of the roles.
yeah. Just going back to Trevor, what you were mentioning, which I really like about him, is he's got that like spontaneity to him, if that's even the word. He's like sporadic, right? Like as you say, you kind of want someone with that spark in your team because you got like some very well-rounded, like sound, logical, like thinkers in that team. Where you need one guy who's like, fuck the playbook. Like I'm going to be doing it this way. I'm just going to go and like do something that doesn't make sense and make it work, and then get like 3 kills and win the round in a crazy situation. So I think it's important to have that.
Yeah, almost like a trump card in a sense, but that's also why I said all 4 of these guys are the type of players that will take initiative in the moment. I don't think all of them will necessarily do it in such a wild fashion as
That's
Trevor,
what I
but
mean. Yeah.
but yes, I mean all of them. There's one thing that I've experienced in a bunch of lineups where if you don't have a player that's just willing to guard and take the risks and make a play and carry the team in that round that can change the morale and the hype
Yeah.
in the team, that ultimately now you can make the comeback. And so it all starts with one round. And if you don't have players that are willing to take the risks and make those judgment calls and guard and do what needs to be done, then you find yourself just losing those games consistently. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
having
agree.
players that can step up and do that, I think all 4 of these players can do that at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't discount yourself too much there as well, Ruan. But I mean, what a banging roster we have there. So yourself at the helm as the IGL. Then we've just got a quartet of just stars, really. Detrony, Black Poison, Adam, and Kani. You can kind of just throw them in any direction. It's just like a marble. Just pick them up, throw them down. They're gonna land, and everything will land perfectly in place.
Yeah, this is also like if a team like this was ever to exist, I don't think there'd be that much need for an IGL as there would be for other teams.
Yeah,
The
sure.
the type of style that you would use for other teams, you might be able to babysit them a bit more, give them a bit more
Micromanage.
direction. Exactly. With these guys, it's more just gonna have to be to rein them in and to
Yeah.
keep the vibes going, make sure, because I mean, Demi's going to say what he wants to do. Robbie's going to say what he wants to do. Trevor's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do. So you kind of just got to, make sure that you got to use
It's
the
cohesive.
pieces. Yes, you got to use the pieces and make sure it works in a way for the team. So yeah.
Yeah, just make sure everyone's on the same page. But there we go. All right. I mean, thank you so much for joining me and giving me your thoughts, man. I mean, really was looking forward to chatting to you and getting your team out there because of all the experience you got. And yeah, what a banging team. Would be amazing to see that in action. But yeah, I guess it'll remain as a hypothetical.
Yeah, what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to make these teams and have them play against each other, right?
Oh man, I would love to do that. We put them all against each other. We come up with the ultimate like best South African team of all time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go.